very good morning, Alone. Welcome to our program. Now we are live on SSBC. Especially, we are talking about this is a special program with me, Paul Bith. We are discussing about the Nile Basin, of course. This is South Sudan and Uganda 400 kV power interconnections projects, which is a presidential flagship projects, which are the two heads of states, President Salva-Kiir and President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, initiated in 2014 under the Northern Corridor Integrations Infrastructure Project. The two task ministers are in charge of energy to work on modalities to develop the project, and now the project is under the implementations of the regional portfolio. And now to discuss more on this very important program of the Nile Basin, I'm joined in the studio by my guest, Engineer Jacob Magnon Edeng, Regional Power Program Officer, Nile Basin. Gentlemen, welcome to our discussion.
Thank you so much, Bith.
As we continue with our, of course, we have just started talking about this very important program that we have chosen today, which is the Nile Basin Initiative. I would want to know exactly what are some of the activities that these people are doing currently, and what are some of the things that are left for this project to be implemented, which is the more important thing. My brother Jacob, can you tell us more about the genesis of the South Sudan-Uganda Power Interconnections project? How did this come about?
Thank you so much, Paul. I would want to talk about the Juba Power South Sudan-Uganda Power Interconnection projects. The genesis of it, it's a very important project that was initiated by the two presidents under the Northern Corridor Infrastructure Integration Projects. That was actually a Northern Corridor countries that they had an initiative to develop infrastructure projects. The railway plus the roads and power interconnections. So this project was initiated in 2015, and the ministers in charge of energy were tasked by the presidents to work on modalities on how this project would be implemented. The ministers in charge of energy were tasked, and they actually signed an MOU between Uganda and South Sudan so that this project would be developed. The two tasked the regional portfolio, that is the Nile Basin Initiatives, which is intergovernmental organizations of the 10 countries in the region that has two investment wings. One wing is based in Kigali, another wing is based in Addis. So the one wing that is based in Kigali is the one in charge of the region, in the entire in charge of power in the entire region. And so this is where I actually become the head of the power programs. This project was put under the NBI, the Nile Basin Initiatives, and then it was actually placed under the docket of the NELSAP, that is Nile Equatoria Lake Subsidiary Action Programs.
And now, actually, when we try to elaborate more, we talk more about this for some of the people to get to know exactly what does this mean. Since this initiative was initiated back in some years, which is 2014 up to now, most of the South Sudanese people do not know exactly what does this mean and how are they benefiting out of the project that has been initiated by the two head of states, that is President Salva-Kiir and President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Actually, what are the roles of the Nile Basin, investment, the Equatorial Lake subsidiaries action programs? How does this work, and what more actually can you tell the public, because the public need to be aware of this project that was initiated back in the years, and up to now majority of them do not know exactly what does this mean to them.
Thank you so much. The Nile Basin Initiatives is actually an initiative formed in 1999 by the 10 countries of the Nile Basin to develop the water resources projects and to develop power programs in the entire region. Now the Nile Basin Initiative has 3 centers. One center is in Entebbe, That is the Secretariat. It deals with the policy and the cooperation of the countries. And then another one is in Addis, that is called ENTRO. It develops the projects, water resources projects. Another one is based in Kigali, which is dealing with the water resources and the power programs projects. So the Nile Basin Initiative is the initiative of the countries that is tasked to develop only the transboundary projects, a project that is shared between the two countries or the three countries. This is the role of the Nile Basin Initiatives. And the benefits the 400 kV will bring to South Sudan are numerous. One of them is the reduction of the very high tariff that is in South Sudan, the electricity prices that are very high, because we are getting the source of energy from a very high source of diesel fuel. That is the generators that are actually now working in Juba here. So the Uganda has a very robust energy mix that has hydro, solar, it has a number of them that is cheaper than what is being used in South Sudan. So the prices of energy will reduce in South Sudan. That is number one. Number two, the line will actually form part of the north-south electricity highway that connects the two the two power pools. That is the north and the east and the south can actually be reached by through the east, through Tanzania. So this line is going to form that backbone. For South Sudan, it will also form part of the national grid, because in South Sudan we do not have anything, we don't have the grid, and this line will actually form part of the grid for the entire country. Number three, it will actually form a very great backbone for the power trade. We will trade with Uganda and we get the cheaper energy, which we do not have in South Sudan here. So in this case, this line is very important, although it will take long to develop, about 5 years. But it is very important for South Sudan because we have a potential, but we have not yet developed our hydro potential resources.
Now, actually, let me take you back a little bit. You said that this initiative was taken back in 2014 up to now. Actually, a lot of people might have heard about it, and up to now they have not seen exactly what does this do to them and what does it mean to them. Now, for example, recently, you know, those the JATCO, these other investment companies, just got in when this initiative was already, you know, being announced and being in place, and it has not yet shown it activities to the public in the country. Now, what are the things that are lacking for you people to compete in the market? For example, you said something very interesting here now, that your big role or your big way, you know, you are fighting, you know, you wanted at least the tariffs to reduce, because the charges which are now in place from these power stations that are existing now in the country, you want to, you know, to topple them. You want by out competing them in a sense of, you know, reducing the tariff. And this has been initiated back in 2014, and up to now nothing is being seen. What actually is hindering your activities from the public to access or to see them?
Very good question. Thank you so much. You know, when the project was initiated, the NELSAP, which is actually the Nile Basin Initiative, was tasked to do the resource mobilization and develop the project. The stages of resource mobilization is always, it takes long period. And so when the resources were secured, the detailed feasibility studies was carried out first, which ended in December 2014. It was completed. It actually, it is always done in phases. The resource mobilization time took long because the development of the regional project must actually come from the regional portfolio. And the bank, Africa Development Bank, and other financiers were approached. So the development of the financing modalities took a while. And that is why it took that period. After we achieved the funding from the Africa Development Bank and the EU, it is why we have started talking about it now. Surely it has taken very long from 2014 up to now, but it was because of the resource mobilization period. Now the resources have been mobilized, South Sudan has secured the grant, Uganda has secured the loan, and we are up for the implementation of the projects. However, each and every country has its own policies and modalities. So the procurement procedures, the modalities on how to sign the loan agreement, on how to sign the grant agreement, always takes very long. Unless it comes from the national coffers, where you develop your in-house projects, it comes faster than it is when you are getting it from the donors, because there are always procedures to be followed. This is why we delay. But this project becomes the best. Anything that delays is always the best in most cases. You do it without any other gap that would come up to derail the project when it starts. So when it starts around 2026 next year, the real construction, because right now we are in the procurement procedures, when the construction starts, there's nothing that will stop it again. And we will have a durable solutions for our energy crisis.
And now we are going for a very short break, and when we return, we'll discuss more about these same topics that we are talking about.
سياق الأسئلة قد تكون مألوفة ومتكررة، ولكن الإجابات تأتي دائما متنوعة ومتعددة، لأن لكل شخصية مسيرة حياة بها العديد من الحكايات الملهمة، وكلما استمعنا لهم تعرفنا أكثر على الجوانب الجميلة والمبهرة. قد تكون القصة قصة كفاح لرجال ونساء عادوا من بعيد ولحقوا بقطار الحياة المسرعة، أو قد تكون القصة قصتك التي تريد أن تشاركها مع الناس. في الوجه الآخر نعكس ما لا يعرفه الآخرين عنك. الوجه الآخر كل جمعة عند 9:30 مساء، ويعاد السبت في 3:30 مساء.
Hello and welcome back for our discussion. We have been talking about the Nile Basin, which is one of the projects that has been initiated back in the years, actually in 2014. It is a South Sudan-Uganda 400 kV power interconnections project, which is a presidential flagship project which the two head of states, President Salva-Kiir and President Museveni, initiated back in 2014 under the Northern Corridor integration infrastructure projects. The two task ministers are in charge of energy to act on modalities to develop the projects, and now the project is under implementations under the regional portfolio. And to discuss this, or have been discussing this with the Engineer Jacob Manyoneding, Regional Power Program Officer, Nile Basin Initiative. Gentlemen, welcome back for our discussion.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Now we are continuing with these topics. Of course, you know, what are the sources of the financing of the projects, and how the financing is being structured?
Thank you so much. As I had just told you earlier, that the Nile Basin Initiative was tasked to do the resource mobilization and does the coordination and implement the project on behalf of the countries. This was enshrined in the MOU. And so this project is being financed by the two major financing institutions, that is Africa Development Bank and the European Union. The structure of this project is very unique in a way that based on our experience, we've been implementing lots of projects in the region, and each and every project comes with its own unique structure on how the financing would be apportioned based on the indicators of each and every country. So for us, on the side of South Sudan has secured grant of 100% grant. It's a free money. We are not going to pay back anything on the side of South Sudan. But Uganda side, it is 100% loan. Uganda, based on the indicators, they have been given a loan by the Africa Development Bank. So the structure is South Sudan is going to get 50 million from the EU as a grant. It's also going to get another portion, about 80 million from the Africa Development Bank, pure grant on the side of South Sudan. And Uganda is going to get about 140 something, 148 million on the side of Uganda as a loan. So the structure is the project will be implemented jointly because it is a regional project. And so the procurement of the consultants, the contractor, all this will be done jointly. And where we are now, we are at the stage of signing the grant agreement and the loan agreement. On the side of Uganda, the structure is always very complicated a bit, but then it goes through a robust process up to Parliament to approve the loan. But on the side of South Sudan, it will be a grant. So it is in the powers of the Minister of Finance to sign the grant, and then we are off to start the work.
Now, Mr. Jacob, you said something very interesting here that South Sudan, because you guys have received actually 100% grant of the project. That means that you are absolutely in the right position to go and implement the project. And you know, you say that this you describe this as, you know, the 100% as a pre-money, which is not going to be paid back to those who donate the money. And you know, there is, you know, how things that are given for free, you know, how they are being handled, you know. Are you quite sure that since you say that this the grant that you received from the donors is free, are you quite sure that this time around you will do what is necessary to be done by that grant that is being given to you, or it will also go as, you know, as free, as you say?
Thank you so much. You know, what I mean by the free money is that there will be no any payback. You know, there's always, when it is a loan, you pay back to a certain extent with a certain percentage, like the one of Uganda, although it is highly concessional loan on the side of Uganda, but then they will have to pay back.
What I mean about this is about the commitment. How committed are you guys going to be as far as you have received this grant in a very comfortable way with you people as 100% pre-grant?
Actually, something that need to be very clear: it is not us receiving the grant; it is the government of South Sudan that is receiving the grant. And what is done by the member countries to the Africa Development Bank, you contribute every year, by the way. Each and every country, you contribute every year. So what the bank gives, we mean it is free in the sense that there's no payment that will be done. But it is not free, it is our money. It is the money of South Sudan that they contribute every year to the bank because you are a member of the bank. And so in this case, they return it to you without asking for the interest. But when it is a loan, it is the bank money, so that you replace it back. But for us on the side of South Sudan, we will not pay back anything. But it is our money actually. It is a contribution you make every year that is given to you as a grant. That is another language of calling it free.
Okay. Now, why is it necessary to bring power from Uganda when South Sudan is endowed with hydropower resources?
Thank you so much. On the side of South Sudan, we are actually a hub in the region in terms of hydro potential that we have along the Nile. We have Grand Fula, we have Biden, we have Chukoli, we have Laki. We have a very huge potential. Even Juba Barrage, 5 kilometers from the Juba city here. But then we have not yet developed because the hydro potential takes too long to develop. If you talk about the Grand Fula, you talk about 8 years to develop. And the cost of that is about 1.5 billion. So for us to have the immediate solution, short term and the medium term, we need to tap from the region for now, as we actually prepare to develop our hydro potential. It is necessary to bring power from Uganda at this time that is a bit cheaper, and it is actually going to form part of our national grid. This line that you will step down in Juba here will go to Western Equatoria, will go to Upper Nile, will go to Bahr el Ghazal, it will go to the eastern part of the Equatoria region. When it is stepped down, it will form part of the national grid, which we do not have. So bringing it now will reduce the power charges, as I had said earlier, and it will actually form part of what we will use to trade with the region when we develop our hydro potential. We do not, we have, but it is not yet being developed. This is the right thing to do for now, to bring power from Uganda, because they have an abundant resources. They have the surplus, but we do not have anything. So for now, instead of us suffering on the diesel-fired generation, we need to tap it from the region. For now, we will create a very serious backbone infrastructure in terms of the transmission line in the whole country. And then we will also create a reduction of the power tariff that is very high. But we will also form the link at South Sudan to have the electricity highway to the Southern Africa region.
Now, since this initiative, was initiated in 2014, is almost, is more than 10 years by now. How long will it take again for this, since you have received the full grant of 100% sure, how long will it take again for these very important projects, which is going to benefit several countries who are partners of this same project? How long will it take again for it to become effective and, and efficient for the benefits of these countries?
Thank you so much, Paul. Actually, this is the question that is in the mind of everybody. A layman or a technical person would want to know, because South Sudan needs a cheaper and reliable energy yesterday, not even today. But what we can say technically is that a distance of 300 kilometers to cover with the transmission lines, based on the experience, it goes up to 4 or 5 years. So when we start from 2016, you talk of 4 or 5 years from 2016, but 2026. When you start from 2026, talk about 4 or 5 years. And because it will be developed simultaneously, from Oluyo substation in Uganda side, it will come up to Numili, that is around 151 kilometers. From Juba to Numili areas, it is about 149 kilometers. So a distance to cover with the transmission line, it will not be less than 4 to 5 years.
Okay. Now, who are the development partners that are engaged by the countries in the Nile Basin Initiative?
We have a number of development partners that we have, and what we are doing here in Juba, we do it in the region. We sensitize the people about the project. We sensitize the people about the development partners we have. We sensitize the countries, the Nile Basin countries, about the role of the Nile Basin initiatives. And we also tell the countries, the development partners that have been coming forth, that have been responding positively to our initiatives in the entire region. And so the development partners that are involved in this project will be mainly the Africa Development Bank and the European Union, only on the side of South Sudan. European Union is financing a portion of the South Sudan grant, but Africa Development Bank is covering the entire Uganda side and also the bigger portion of the South Sudan funding. So these are the main financiers that have already committed the funds. The board meeting was conducted on the 12th of November last year for the EU, where they approved the 50 million. And the Africa Development Bank had their meeting on the 13th of December last year as well. So the funding is ready by the Africa Development Bank and the EU. World Bank is also interested, but it will be to the extension that when the power is stepped down in Juba here, there is already a distribution systems expansion that is being financed by the World Bank. So we are actually being supported by these development partners because we are members of these development partners institutions. We contribute as a country, we contribute as a region, and the Nile Basin initiatives is being actually financed by these development partners to actually foster the development of the transboundary projects.
And now, how will the development of these projects affect in terms of electricity prices in the country?
Thank you so much for that question. It is a very critical question, which most of the countries have been trying to ask us to explain. If you develop a renewable energy source like the hydro potential, how does it affect the prices in the whole country? For us in South Sudan, it's very unique because we are depending on the diesel-fired generation, which is very expensive. So on our side, when we develop this transmission interconnection project, we will have a reduction of price by almost 80% because we have the $0.42 per kilowatt hour. But this transmission interconnector, the price that is going to be benchmarked will be around 0.11, which is a very cheap energy for the country, 11 cents that will be used for us to buy the power from Uganda. Even if you come and put a little markup, it cannot be very gravy. It will be cheaper for the people of South Sudan. And it will be affordable to everybody. Even the lower class person in terms of economic status will be able to afford to buy this power. So the development of this power interconnection project is very important. And now for us, we are at a very good stage. The countries are going to sign the grant agreement and the loan agreement respectively. And the construction of this project will start, and we will realize a lot of benefits. The development in terms of the investments, like now, most of the people are finding it tough to even actually do the industries in the country, which are supposed to be supported by a source, energy source that can cover the base load in that regard.
Now, with these very interesting and important projects that you guys are building, actually, when the issue of insecurity comes in here, mostly there seem to be some insecurity in some part of the country. How does this affect the ongoing projects that you guys are implementing?
Thank you so much for that question, Paul. Of course, this project is a government project. You know, we are implementing on behalf of the government. The government tasked the NBI, NELSAP, to implement the project. Even when we did the feasibility studies until December, we used to be given the security by the government of South Sudan and also the government of Uganda. So this one, we are not very much worried. But what we need to really emphasize in most cases is one of the challenges that the project could be facing, plus the involvement of the community at the borders. The community's sensitization is very necessary, and this would be the role of the SEC to facilitate those who are going to implement the project, the contractor, the NBI, and even the consultants that we are hiring now. So it is a very good question, and security issue is a role of the government, the owner of the project. Actually, it is South Sudan that is the owner of the project, it is Uganda that is the owner of the project. They have only tasked the regional body, the way it is done by other countries, to coordinate and implement the projects, because it is for the two countries, so it needs a coordinator to do the implementation of the project. So in this case, the security is a role of the government, and it has happened before. We couldn't complete the feasibility studies without the protection of the government. We used to go to the border, and the government has been actually trying to take control of the security. And
now we are left with a very few minutes on this program. In fact, we just left with only 1 to 2 minutes to end this very important discussion. Actually, this project has been a long-awaited project, by the South Sudanese people, and especially the Ugandans on the other side. They're also willing to see and to hear your activities that are meant for these very important projects that you guys are under it now. Actually, what can you tell the public of the two countries, or those that are the partners of these very projects? What can you tell these people in order for them to be more patient as they have been for quite some time now?
Thank you so much for that question. We were with the UBC last week, the Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, and we conveyed the same message. We are here now in SSBC to convey the same message. The message is, the two countries need to embrace the projects. They take it and own it as their own. And they also see major benefits that they do not have for now. Like the side of Uganda, because they have the surplus in terms of the energy resources, they should embrace for the focus of the power trade. On the side of South Sudan, they should embrace the project and look at reduction of the cost and development of the infrastructure, the industries. It cannot happen with the diesel-fired generation. And so in this case, the national government of South Sudan and national government of Uganda, they need to embrace the project and take it as their own. It is not actually the project of the Nile Basin Initiatives, it is the projects of the two countries. And it is for the benefit of the citizens of these two countries, because it is actually a renewable energy source project that will be enjoyed by the people. Even the rural electrification will not be difficult from Juba to Numili. from actually Nimili to Kampala, there will be a step down substations along the transmission line. And the people who are not being reached by the utilities will be able to enjoy this power at a later stage. What I would urge is the provision of the security and expeditious signing of the grant agreement and the loan agreement so that the project can start in earnest. Thank you.
Many thanks indeed. Of course, our discussion has come to an end, and we have been talking about the Nile Basin, which is the South Sudan-Uganda 400 kV power interconnections projects, which is a presidential flagship project, which the two head of states, which is President Salva Kiir and President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, initiated back in 2014 under the Northern Corridor Integrations Infrastructure Projects. The two task ministers are in charge of the energy to work on modalities to develop the projects, and now the project is under the implementations of the regional portfolio. I've been discussing these very important projects with engineer Jacob Manyondeng, the regional power program officer of the Nile Basin Initiative. This has been the discussion for today, and many thanks indeed, gentlemen, for joining us on this important program. My name is Paul Bith, and thank you for talking to us on SSBC. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Paul.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate that.